Welcome to another exciting edition of How to Own a Young Earth Creationist, henceforth known as a YEC. Today, lesson number A New Man 17, the signature skit.
Oh, that's a nice Rembrandt. I think it's Van Gogh. I'm pretty sure it's a Rembrandt. What makes you think it's a Rembrandt?
Well, I mean, it's the same genre they painted in, and the same style and time period, and it's got his signature down here.
There you go again, being all dogmatic. You haven't even heard everyone's opinion yet. Hey, over here, this ignoramus thinks he knows everything. He hasn't even heard everyone's opinion yet.
The signature skit is an audio-visual digital transmission posted to the YouTube website on February 28, 2009 by YouTube user A New Man 17, and it is well on its way to becoming a rhetorical device devoid of success in such a manner that no other similar device has yet to be observed to be as devoid, and a reasonable prediction could be made that no other device will surpass the absence of success and/or effectiveness in the foreseeable future. The signature is intended to allegorically demonstrate the perception of an inflexible position on the part of rational thinkers when discussing the issues of creationism versus science. However, as to be expected, the YEC skit actually has the exact opposite effect of its original intention and surpasses even the most lucid rational orations in making the case contrary to creationism. First, a young man approaches a reproduction of a Rembrandt painting, makes a positive claim, that being the painting is a Rembrandt, and then lucidly presents evidence for his claim in a concise and rational manner and briefly explains why all observable facts fit his explanation. Almost immediately, the young man standing next to him asserts that it is a Van Gogh with no evidence of his claim whatsoever. He then suggests that the young man who presented evidence is being dogmatic and an ignoramus for forming an opinion based on all available evidence before hearing everyone else's opinion. Three other young men join into the conversation and insist that their opinions be accepted as valid regardless of the fact that they present zero evidence to back up their claims. Strange suggestions of the painting's explanation, as if it needed one, soon came to light, such as it magically appeared and it just fell together. Of course, the rational thinker will immediately recognize that the first young man who presented evidence was actually allegorical to science and the others were representative of YECs. In reality, a scientist will lucidly present the physical evidence and present an explanation that fits all facts and physical evidence, also known as a theory, and then submit it for peer review. A peer, in this case, is not a minister or a theologian, but one who has been trained in critical examination of the physical evidence in question. These peers are ethically obligated to intentionally look for inconsistencies, alternative explanations, errors in reasoning, and correct the conclusion if necessary. Theories that conform to all known facts and physical evidence are the goal of science, and it cannot concern itself with the beliefs or faiths of others. YECs, on the other hand, assert their positions with no evidence, and when they do present evidence, it is not evidence for their position. It is simply an attack on existing scientific precepts in an effort to form the perception of a dichotomy which always turns out to be false. When it is shown that YECs have no evidence and no scientific leg to stand on, they insist that their rights to free speech are being infringed upon because they aren't allowed to teach theology in a science class. Then they have the audacity to assert that science is failing because it is not considering all possible viewpoints, just as the young men in the signature video representing the scientific community did. Under what philosophy of life is science required to consider theological viewpoints when forming scientific theory? Instead of trying to form a coherent scientific argument backed up by physical evidence and submitted for peer review, YECs use political campaigns and the courts to force their viewpoints on others because if a right was granted to science to accept or reject scientific concepts on merit alone, the YEC viewpoint would be summarily dismissed. Perhaps the single most ridiculous argument is that an inability or unwillingness to understand scientific theories such as cosmological models, abiogenesis, and biological evolution necessarily means they must be false because they don't make no sense. Then, instead of going out and doing the research themselves in an attempt to understand and or independently verify scientific claims, they repeat the same tired straw man arguments like electric magic mud, life should form in a jar of peanut butter, or pangolins are not totally gay. The neurological mechanism of intelligent agent detection easily accounts for why someone would think that life had a designer, but that is an impulse-driven perception that the rational thinker must be willing to part with when further and more objective investigation reveals otherwise. In simpler terms, YECs, you are trying to force your own inability to part with knee-jerk reactions on everyone else. Your conceit and pride force you into mental contortions the likes of which Einstein could not even imagine, and all because you don't want to admit that you might not be 100% correct about everything, you might not have all the answers, and might have to face the reality that the day has arrived for you to give up childhood flights of fancy such as imaginary friends living in the sky. Should your sense of self-worth require maintaining a perception of an invisible man living in the sky and be unable to withstand the minimal glancing blow of an admission of being wrong, you are, of course, free to live a life of ignorance. Should anyone attempt to force you into an enlightened lifestyle, please contact the Jaguar Jones channel, and the crack team of heavily armed freedom defenders will put a stop to those shenanigans with the greatest of expedience. However, it is requested that the same respect be paid by you to those who have chosen to discipline their minds and part with impulse-driven and fear-based cognitions in an effort to gain an enhanced understanding of reality and the natural world in order to possibly make life easier, longer, and more pleasant for all Homo sapiens, including but not limited to yourself. Regular viewers of the Jaguar Jones channel may have become aware of a more somber disposition in this audiovisual digital transmission and may have been disappointed at the failure to insatiate the viewer's requirement of a maintenance dose of the Jaguar Jones distinct style of humor. Therefore, the team of experts assigned to contrive utterances specifically designed to provoke laughter and or cause amusement now offer the following pun-based anecdote. What humor-based name might a reasonable person assign to a group of 2 or more homosexual men named Bob? Oral Roberts. This is Jaguar Jones saying good day and happy owning.